Today is May 29th, excuse me, and I decided that it was time. It's been a month since I had started this compost tumbler system going, and I just emptied it, and you can see how well decomposed that is for only, it might even be 3.5 weeks of composting, and it's composted rather well. But a lot of you are interested in knowing the process with the tumbler especially. And this is what didn't decompose well enough to consider compost. And obviously your foil is going to take a while. You should always unravel it so the microorganisms can get in there and help break that down a little faster. There's an old hat. And I kept putting stuff in here until like a week or two ago. So a lot of this stuff is recent. The problem we have with cardboard packaging these days, is because they print on plastic and then they put it on cardboard. So no matter how well you can take plastic off stuff, you're really still going to find some stuff. Even like this potato bag here. That was not even 2 weeks ago, so it hasn't decomposed much. But it has plastic netting. And what I want the paper off this. And so I'll let it decompose, and I'll take off the plastic mesh afterwards, after it's decomposed for a while. So this is, I kept feeding this right up until a week and a half, 2 weeks ago at the very most. And that's all that's decomposed. I mean, that's all that's left that hasn't decomposed, down to this right here, which just needs to be dried and sifted another day. But this is some stuff that didn't decompose. Like this right here was a wrap to something, and it's frustrating with cardboard these days. So this is my compost bucket from inside after a couple days. So I'm going to empty that in there. And right now there's a lot of greens. There's a little bit of brown. Your paper is brown, but there's a lot of greens in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw an armload of leaves, a couple handfuls of more compost. There's some over there, but I'm going to add some more, just to add some more microbes in here. And the microbes is what's really going to break this stuff down faster. And I do have a solution that I make to help my compost break down faster. And another day I'll get into that. But right now I get a really busy day ahead of me, so I got to beat the rain, so I can't focus on this right now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an armload of leaves, a couple handfuls of old compost that has decomposed, probably a couple handfuls of garden dirt that I made, garden soil. And I'm going to give this a few spins and keep adding to it for the next week probably. And then I'm going to leave it alone and just spin it every few days and see how long this takes. But today is May 29th. So this is a good test to see how fast I can decompose things in this tumbler. Stay tuned. And I should say too that now that I put an armload of leaves and some pine needles mixed in, put an armload of leaves and pine needles. I just swallowed a black fly. I also put some of this mulchy stuff that I've been working with, and I've gone into detail about it a little bit this morning, and I'll go into more detail later. This is filled with microbes and nutrients, so that's going to help break this down. And ideally, you should fill this like half to 3/4 full, and then leave it, then just keep turning it instead of slow feeding it. And that's what I usually do, is slow feed it. So I usually have a lot of compost piles going, so I'm in no hurry to get this one going any faster. However, this year I want to make a bunch of compost, so I'm going to do this one properly and fill it like halfway full, maybe 3/4, and then just keep rotating it. And hopefully in about 3 weeks, 3.5, 4 weeks, I'll have finished compost to show you. Well, I didn't intend on making a video today, but here it goes. I'm still coughing over that black fly I just inhaled, making my throat even more raspy than it usually is. But I went and grabbed another armload of, here we go, pine needles and dead leaves. Then I went through the yard and areas that I didn't want my clumps of grass to grow, and I pulled these up and I shook the soil out a little bit just to fill the hole back in, and the rest is going in here, and I shake them again, and this is really good at adding microorganisms and good stuff to the soil. And I go ahead and shake it out a little bit just to disperse those pieces of dirt microorganisms a little bit further. And I'm not going to show you after I put another armload in, but I will show you after I make it this first tumble and show you how well this mixes. Okay, I'm back after putting another wheelbarrow full of leaves and pine needles and little small twigs that are decomposing. And I didn't fill it half full just because I know I'm going to add some weight to it when I add one more pail of kitchen scraps. And I know that, excuse me, that I'm also going to pee in a bucket a few times and drizzle that in here to help get things heating up and breaking down faster. And I'll come back to in a couple days or so and tell you my solutions that I use and what works best for me and why. But right now this has been turned 3 times and you can see it's pretty dry. It needs to start breaking down and produce moisture, but I'm going to help that too by adding my little pea and my solutions, and I'll show you that when I do that. It may or may not be today. There's one good thing to note. When I empty my bin, I put a couple pieces of roofing up to help guide it, so I'm not having to go scraping it up on the edges what falls out. And I always leave this here until I either need it or until I empty the tumbler again. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, it will finish decomposing more and more and more. And another thing is, if this becomes too much water in there from rain, or maybe I added too many green things in there, it will drip out. And all those are good nutrients, a lot of microbes that are dripping in here, and that's going to help break this compost down even faster. So I like to do a little cycle with my compost.